Today on Locked on Buckeyes, we ask one big question about Kyle McCord, and Jim Harbaugh receives an abnormal punishment from the Big Ten.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Victory Monday. It feels so good once again. Welcome in, Buckeye fans. This is Locked on Buckeyes on Monday, November 13th in the year 2023. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's episode, we will discuss the punishment Jim Harbaugh received from the Big Ten, and will Texas A&M come after Brian Hartline? But first, Kyle McCord's performance over the weekend was a lot of fun to watch. It's one of those games and one of those performances that you look out there and say, wow, Kyle, we know you good. Maybe we didn't know you were this good. Because Kyle McCord has showed he can be a good quarterback for Ohio State this year. He's also showed that he can be sometimes a little stale or stagnant in his progression or growth during his first year as being QB1 at Ohio State. But he has also showed when he is on his game, when he is playing his ball, he is also showing everybody that, hey, y'all, I am a really good quarterback in college. Kyle McCord over the weekend, his numbers, they were good. They were really good. 24-31, 335 passing yards, 10.8 yards per completion, 3 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 200.1. And I'm thinking about Kyle McCord, the way that he's played this year, what we got from him over the weekend. And I am currently thinking about, well, Kyle, I don't really know him. McCord, that's what you call people in football, call him by the last name. Hey, McCord, I got a question for you. Can Kyle McCord be this efficient against Minnesota so that the team has more confidence in him going into the game against Michigan? That's the question. It's efficiency against Michigan to build confidence and to be more confident in him going into the game against Michigan in Ann Arbor. That's the question. And I understand there's a thought, even in my head as that comes out, and as I was thinking about today's show. Do you want to look ahead to 2 weeks when there's a team you got to play on Saturday on senior day? First thought is no, you don't want to look ahead. But ultimately, that's what you're playing for. That game, you've lost to them for the past 2 years. Kyle McCord's been on the sidelines for both of those games. One in Columbus, one in Ann Arbor. Kyle McCord's been there. And as I'm talking right now, in my brain, in my dome, is a memory of the scene in the Big House in 2021 as those fans rushed the field and partied on the field after beating Ohio State. And if it's in my mind, there's a good chance some of the players at Ohio State that were there at that time, it's in their mind as well. But I do believe it's a valid question to ask. Even though we look at Kyle McCord's game on Saturday, 335 passing yards, that is a season high for him. And I want to say it might be a career high in passing yards as well. It is the second highest passing completion percentage he's had this year at 77.4. The high that he had is 82.6. That was against Western Kentucky. He had 4 completions, 318 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns in that waxing of the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Kyle McCord's one of those guys that he's building confidence with other guys. We know he has confidence and chemistry with Harrison Jr. We know he has confidence and chemistry with Cade Stover. Without Emeka Egbuka, who some say was his safety net, which it's clear that that's a case. Yes, Travion Henderson has been a bigger piece of the pie in the passing game. However, how much does Ryan Day want to use Henderson in that way when Henderson might need to be utilized in pass protection for specific reasons? So I don't know exactly what that reason might be. However, I do know this. This is a perfect opportunity for Kyle McCord to gain more confidence. You play a bad opponent in Michigan State. You're playing a little bit better of an opponent. I say a little bit. A better of an opponent in Minnesota on Saturday. It's Senior Day. It's at 4 p.m. It's on the Big Ten Network. For those of you that are wondering where the game is going to be, there you go. I don't know who the broadcasters are yet. That'll come at you later in the week. I might be able to get that information really via awfulannouncing.com. They have it out every week. We'll be able to get that out and share that with you as soon as I come across that that blog piece or article where it lists off all the broadcasters for every game in college football from Tuesday until Saturday. This is one of those moments that maybe this week Ryan Day says, look, I understand Abuka is not healthy. He even left the game on Saturday due to an aggravated ankle that he could not go any further and go any more. Is this a time where Ryan Day says, hey, I understand Xavier Johnson's out there, but he's not like, if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator, yeah, I got to be on my toes and be on top of my game. But Xavier Johnson doesn't threaten me and doesn't scare me like Carnell Tate does. Doesn't scare me or threaten me in a way that maybe Brandon Ennis might. I don't know if Brandon Ennis will this year or not. I know what he might be in a couple of years, which is a really, really, really good wide receiver. But at what point does Ryan Day and Brian Hartline decide, hey, we can't keep rolling out with these guys out here anymore that McCord doesn't really have chemistry with, and the ones he has chemistry with are the ones he's going to. But if those guys are locked up or can't get open or for whatever reason, or maybe Kyle's not looking their way, what else we got? We got a Carnell Tate. Going into the season, I heard a lot about Jaden Ballard. Hey, he's the next guy. He's next up on that list. I don't have the numbers and snap counts right in front of me, but my thought is Carnell Tate has more snaps on the year, including special team snaps, than Jaden Ballard. If you just want to go offensive at wide receiver, I think Carnell Tate might have more than Ballard this season at just the wide receiver position. So I wonder, I believe Kyle McCord will do some phenomenal things against Minnesota over the weekend. But to me, it's not all about McCord. Will the coaches put some guys out there that McCord can throw the ball to consistently, that'll catch the ball, get the yak yardage that the team needs on offense? So, yes, that is a question. Building confidence. Be this efficient. Can Kyle McCord be efficient against Minnesota to build confidence going into the game against Michigan? The can part is an absolutely yes. Will it happen? Literally, I like to say yes. But you know how Jay is. Sometimes you got to wait on stuff. It's literally TBD to be determined. What's not to be determined is the punishment that Jim Harbaugh received from the Big Ten. Did you miss it? Well, we're going to dive into that next and how it impacts the game here on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you expect when you arrive. All-in prices, show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. If you'd like to continue this conversation outside of the space of this podcast, head to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBuckeyes. So the Big Ten was in a very interesting position over the weekend. One that they put themselves in. It's not a situation where they could have said, well, we can avoid how we're going to be viewed while making this decision. No, you can't. You make a decision, and automatically there's going to be a way people are going to view you based on that decision. And Jim Harbaugh, the Michigan football team, they were in the air, according to numerous reports. When Jim Harbaugh received the announcement, the team received the announcement about Jim Harbaugh's punishment. For what? Stealing signs. A sign stealing scheme, you may want to put it that way to use the alliteration, that had been going on for years. We've heard about Counter Stallions. I've talked about him. You've heard people on numerous shows talk about him. You've probably talked about him with your boys or your friends or people at the barbershop or maybe at the gas station pumping gas. Right? You say, oh, Counter Stallions? Oh, I know that guy. What do you know about him? Man, he has a wild scheme to steal signs, and he worked it for a while to perfection until somebody turned them in. Turning him in, also turned in the Michigan football team and that program that Jim Harbaugh leads, and the Big Ten said, hey, you guys, you cheaters, that's what they are. They cheat. This is your punishment. That was my own commentary, not the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh cannot be on the sideline for the remainder of the regular season. Can't be on the sideline during games. He can coach throughout the week, but Harbaugh cannot be on the sideline during games. This is the punishment for the sign stealing scandal. What kind of punishment is that? I've been waiting, and I did not know this was going to come out right now, but I want to. You mean to tell me they got caught cheating? Blatantly cheating. For things that I've read, they can't say it didn't happen. And so they're admitting that they cheated. And this is what you got? Now, I have been watching sports for a long period of time. I'm in my mid-30s. Say a long time for my lifetime, not a long time for some people out there. My dad's, wow. My dad's nearing 70 years old. I think he's in his late 60s right now. And my dad's been watching football, watching sports for a long time. Played sports, watched sports for a long time. My grandma, the house my dad grew up in, loved her some Michael Jordan. So what did my dad watch? Chicago Bulls basketball. It's what they did. Hey, we've been watching sports in my household, my family, my wife and I do. We watch sports. I don't know. I ain't never heard of no coach getting caught cheating, and the league that runs that they fall under says, oh, you can coach throughout the week, but you can't be on the sidelines during games. What kind of nonsense is that? Like, I understand. This is Locked on Buckeyes. But me personally, I was an analyst before I was host of this show. So let's just go ahead and put the Jay Stevens podcast hat on for a little bit. Give you a little dive into what's going to be on that show later on this week. What kind of punishment is this? Let's go a little bit further. What kind of precedent are you showing everybody? Are you saying, hey, if you cheat, this is a kind of punishment you might get? Doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm going to do something that some of you might not like. I'm going to give credit to Michigan for what they did on Saturday, for realizing, hey, we can't pass block this front of Penn State. So what are we going to do? Run the ball. And I did not take count. I didn't chart every play of that game, but I've heard numerous people say the last 30 plays from Michigan in that game were run plays. It worked. It was working for them. And go for it. This punishment don't make no sense. This punishment makes absolutely no sense. Some will say you need somebody to run college football. Well, here's the thing. You don't have a governing body, but the NC2A can still punish Michigan. And their investigation is, one person said it's on a fast track. I thought we wouldn't hear anything from the NC2A about this until this time next year, because it takes a long time to investigate things like this, especially items and different things that are going on that take a long time to happen. Well, this is the punishment. Harbaugh will not be on the sideline coaching Michigan in the game against Ohio State. I don't know Michigan's schedule for the rest of the season, so I can't say I know exactly. I can look that up really quickly. I don't know off the top of my head who Michigan plays this coming weekend, but as I go back to the schedule, okay, you got a team with a winning record. Michigan is on the road at Maryland this weekend, playing the Terrapins, and that game's on Big Fox. Big Fox there at 12 noon. That game should be a blowout. Maryland's really been spiraling as of late. They have not been playing good football. Really confusing because they started off very well. But then I was reminded, they did win over the weekend, beat Nebraska 13-10. But then I was reminded about something that I said earlier this year in regards to, well, there are teams that start off hot, 4-0, 5-0, maybe even 6-0, and then fall off the train, fall off the tracks. We're seeing that with Maryland. And there's a good chance that Rutgers, who started off the season 6-2, lost to Ohio State last weekend or a couple weeks ago, lost to Iowa 22-0 over this past weekend. Rutgers has to go to Penn State. That's probably a loss. And then Rutgers this coming weekend or Thanksgiving weekend, is home against Maryland. They can win that. So even though there's teams that start off hot, start off well, sometimes at the end of your schedule, you got a lot of tough conference opponents that you don't really play well against, or you just lose a spark. The fire's out. Can't go on anymore. And that's where things are. So in regards to teams starting off hot and then fizzling off, that's just a part of sports. It's normal. It's going to happen. What also is going to happen is Jim Harbaugh will not be on the sideline for the game against Michigan, and that just feels odd. I don't really care if he's on the sideline or not. Still, Jay here, just win the game. I don't care who's on the sideline. I don't care who the coach is. You got Lloyd Carr back out there. I don't care. I don't care. Bo Schembechler, I don't care. Just win the game. To me, it's the only thing that matters. It does not matter. Harbaugh's there, or Lloyd Carr is there, or Bo Schembechler. It doesn't matter. Just win the game. This is a distraction for Ohio State right now because you know what? Who has to answer questions about it or filter questions about it? Ryan Day. Who has to answer questions and filter questions about it? Jim Knowles, Brian Hartline, Tony Alford, Larry Johnson, and all the coaches. Who else? The players. This is a distraction. So keep the main thing, no matter who's on the sidelines. And the main thing is this: win the game. That's it. Don't look ahead to the Big Ten Championship game. Don't look back to earlier in the season. Don't look ahead to the CFP. Win the game. That's it. That's the motto. That's the mission. That is it. There will be distractions. They're going to continue. They might be louder in a week from now than they are today. But you know what? Knock out the noise. Block out the noise. The mission is win the game. Harbaugh won't be on the sideline. Feels odd. The punishment is even odder. Doesn't make any sense. Never heard of something like this before in my lifetime, but here we are. Harbaugh suspended. Got the 3 remaining games of the regular season. Only a sideline ban. He can coach throughout the week. The one area, if this is the punishment, the Big Ten really dropped the ball. They should have said Harbaugh, if Michigan makes it to the Big Ten championship game, cannot coach in that game as well. But they didn't. They dropped the ball with the punishment, made it really odd. They dropped the ball by not adding that to the punishment for Jim Harbaugh for Michigan's sign-stealing scandal. The sign-stealing, they got caught for cheating. Who else got caught? Well, got caught up in some bad things going on down there in College Station is Jimbo Fisher. And with him out, will Texas A&M come after Brian Hartline? We dive into that next on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. We spend a lot of time together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. I'm thankful for that connection we have. And today, I want our chat to be a little more personal. Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered, my friend. Thanks to our partners at Jace Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics for Cialis, Viagra, and Revatio prescriptions. Go online right now at jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. This show is a little bit odd for me. I might do it a little bit more. I'm not sure. Using the headphones that we used on Saturday evening's postcast because I was out of town. I like the sound out of those. I like it now, so we might filter these into the show every now and then. Not rocking the glasses. I haven't rocked a no glasses face here on the show for quite a while. I like this look as well. So we might end up trying to change things up, throw some wrinkles at you because, well, it's what we like to do. And also the show is odd because I did not think going into the game against Minnesota, if you had me beginning of the season trying to pick some different storylines that might find their way into the show, that Brian Hartline to Texas A&M question mark would be something we discuss. But it's reality. Texas A&M has had enough with Jimbo Fisher. The team is not good. Not good at all. Jimbo Fisher is one of those coaches that when you look at him, when you think about him, what do you think about? Many people think about the success that he had when coaching at Florida State. But also, what else do you realize when you think about Jimbo Fisher in his time? I don't know what is going on with the phone here and trying to pull up some stats here for Jimbo Fisher or numbers. I don't really know what people think about when it comes to Jimbo Fisher now, outside of people say that A&M bought players. People think about Florida State and Jameis Winston. That's what I was thinking about earlier, but just couldn't get it out. Jimbo Fisher has been coaching in college football for 14 years. Has a 128 wins, 48 losses, 8-2 record in bowl games. He has been at Texas A&M since 2018. Only coached at 2 FBS programs, Florida State and Texas A&M. After his last year down in Tallahassee, he went 5-6 after 5 straight 10-plus win seasons. He went down to Texas, or over to Texas, not really down, but over 2018 to 2023. These are the records that he had coaching those football teams. 9-4, 8-5, 9-1 during the COVID year, 8-4, 5-7, 6-4. 0-10 win seasons at A&M since Jimbo Fisher, became the head coach. And they said, hey, enough is enough, man. You got to go. You have to get up out of town. We don't want you here. We don't care where you go. But, buddy, you got to go. And when I think about that, and a team that has funds, a lot of money to use at their disposal, a big, massive stadium, 100,000 seat stadium down there in Texas. Now, the capacity is not at the top of my head. I just believe that is about 100,000 people that sit in that stadium. What else do you have here down there in Texas A&M? You got a wild, crazy fan base. The 12th man is wild, it's loud, it's crazy. They love their ball. Also, what do you have? You're in Texas. Football means more down there. I know the SEC say it just means more. Buddy, it just means more down there in Texas. We know Texas. We think football. You think Indiana in sports? What do you think about basketball? Why? Because those two things go hand in hand in Indiana. And for football and Texas go hand in hand. It's a perfect marriage for that state. Jimbo's gone. Will they go after Brian Hartline? The obvious thought is it would make sense for them to come after him for an OC spot. I don't think Hartline is ready right now for a head coaching position, right? Recruiting, great. It's perfect. It's perfect. He can get guys. Can he have his hand in recruiting the entire team? I don't know. Will he be as successful? That's a more proper question. Will he be as successful if he's recruiting the entire team? Buddy, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think it would be foolish for them to not try to go up the Heartline. Give him a check. Ohio State's going to try to up that check. Going to try to keep him there in Columbus. But at some point, I mean, we know Brian Hartline has aspirations to coach in the NFL. He talked about that maybe on, it was either the Pivot podcast or Bustin' with the Boys. One of the two. Talked about his dreams and aspirations to coach in a different league. It's okay. Not a problem with that. Not a problem with that at all. But also, if Texas A&M can be a springboard or a stepping point for him to raise up, hey, he's not calling plays right now as the OC. What if he goes down to A&M and they allow him to call plays? What if he goes down to A&M and has a different level of responsibility than what he has right now at Ohio State? So be it. I believe it can happen. So when it comes to Heartline to Texas A&M, I'm not hearing anything he's going to go out there, that they're going to go after him, but it wouldn't shock me. He's one of the best recruiters at a position in the entire sport. He's a young man that knows how to connect with players year in and year out. Knows how to train players and develop players at a high clip year in and year out. So to me, it would make a whole lot of sense for them to go after Heartline and maybe not a head coaching spot, but maybe say, hey, come in and be our OC. And maybe when they hire the head coach and they say, hey, I don't know who you want to be the OC, but we got a guy that we think could be the OC, and here's how we think we could get him. So be it. Ultimately, these are the things that might come up over the next couple of days and weeks. Heartline to A&M, maybe not as a head coach, but them going after him as the OC. I'm not saying he's going to stay for the next 20 years because I don't think that. And I also would be shocked if A&M said, hey, we're not going after Heartline. That would be odd. That would be really odd. Out of here on a Monday, Buckeye fans. You can follow me on X. You see the graphic there on the screen at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here on a Monday, Buckeye fans. I'll see you next time.